Sometimes these changes are expected, while other times they catch us a bit by surprise. It's akin to the story of the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, as recounted in the book of Exodus. Despite experiencing God's blessings and protection, they found themselves at what seemed like a dead end when confronted with the Red Sea and the Egyptians that were pursuing them. We've lived through the challenges of COVID pandemic and its aftermath. We've witnessed God's providence with our members' faithfulness, resulting in historically high tithe. Thank you. This led to millions of dollars in reserve, as policy and good stewardship requires for covering shortfalls. However, hyperinflation in many areas, particularly medical and insurance coverages and employment, resulted in a rapid drawdown of that reserve in the past 2 years. After the pandemic, what many thought to be a temporary, transitory inflation has become more permanent. It is a new financial reality that has become unaffordable at the operational levels that we have been accustomed to. This, combined with widespread declining church attendance, requires strategic shifts to ensure long-term sustainability and missional effectiveness. With much prayer and very careful consideration, the administration, in consultation with the Finance Committee and Executive Committee, formulated operational adjustments aimed at stewarding our resources effectively. These adjustments include a general freeze of hiring for the office and pastoral positions, a freeze of total remuneration of all employees, reducing numerous operational expenses, increased cost sharing of healthcare expenses of locally funded employees, a slight decrease in the percentage of educator expense paid by the conference, and the very painful necessity of a 20% reduction in office personnel and pastors in the field. While these decisions are very difficult, they are made with deep care and consideration for all persons affected. Just as the Israelites' apparent dead end at the Red Sea became a new beginning, we do believe that God will continue to faithfully lead our Oregon Conference family through this path and into a new season of mission together. I believe in these tumultuous times we are called back to a simpler, Spirit-empowered model of church ministry, similar to the early church portrayed in the book of Acts. Through recalibration and conference effort, our team will aim to better equip local churches and schools for this mission, all for God's glory. Amidst changes, prayer becomes our anchor. In 2 Chronicles 7:14, we are called to humility and seeking God's face, believing that through prayer, He will bring healing and renewal. Though emotions may run high in times of change, through prayer, we find the strength to navigate transitions and to embrace new beginnings. That's why I'd like to take this opportunity to invite your church or small group to make Sabbath March 2 a special day of prayer for His leading through this season. We also invite you to join us for a 30-minute Zoom prayer meeting that Sabbath March 2 at 5:30 p.m. to end the Sabbath. More information about that will be forthcoming. Finally, let's hold fast to God's promise for us in Jeremiah 29:11, where He says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." With humility, prayer, and anticipation, let's move forward, trusting in God's faithfulness to fulfill His purpose in and through the Oregon Conference and your life and mine. Together, let's embark on this journey with faith and resilience, knowing that God goes before us, guiding us through every transition. Thank you. Thank you for your dedication to the church. Thank you for your dedication to the Lord as we navigate these changes together, united in our mission to serve God and His people. God bless you abundantly.
We're a little bit early, so I should have timed that a little bit better. If you read between the lines of what is being said there, you will have heard the biggest thing that will affect our church here is a 20% reduction in office and pastoral staff. I'm making an opportunity right after church service, just for a few minutes, because there is a funeral this afternoon for Arlene Strutz at 2 o'clock. WADS will be coming at 12:30 to begin setting up. But anybody who is interested about the implications of what that video just said, if you want to meet over on this side, because I will give WADS the opportunity to set up what they need if we're not done. We'll have a few minutes to talk together. But it's been an interesting week to be a pastor in the Oregon Conference. We were called into the conference office on Monday, all of us from the entire conference. To tell you the seriousness of it, they said there will be no lunch or supper, even those who came from long distance. And they don't consider 2 hours away long distance, so it was no big deal. But it was an interesting thing. We got a little bit deeper than what the video said. We were a little disappointed, and personally in the video, only because I don't think he made it clear. There will be a reduction of 25 pastors who will be let go in just a couple weeks. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, what that means to the churches. It's an interesting thing. Like I said, it's been an interesting week, but I wanted to share one thing before we continued. He quoted from Jeremiah chapter 29. My mother-in-law, which some of you know, likes this verse. And her and I argue all the time about this verse, because so often we quote this verse without remembering the context. The context of this verse is Jeremiah preaches or talks to them in a prophecy and says, hey, go to Babylon, you exiles. So it comes out of the fact that Jerusalem has just been destroyed and you are now a slave being hauled off to a foreign land. So we always got to tell everybody, remember, the context is your world just fell apart. And then God says, I have not forgotten you. I love this particular passage because out of this passage he says, you're going to be in Babylon for 70 years. But then I will come and do for you all the good things that I promised, and I will bring you home again. I believe that as we near the coming of Christ, there's going to be a little bit more of Babylon taking over. But he tells us, do not lose heart. So what Dan Lindrud shared is quite serious. It affects every single church in the Oregon Conference, every single church in the Oregon Conference. And so anyway, we debated whether to show that or not. The president wanted it to be shown, so we did. I am willing to share a little bit more of the details of what it means to me, to you, how it's going to affect our church, and that'll be right after the service. I did ask Kathie to play the Postlude, give people time to get up, and if we meet on this side of the church, I will answer a couple questions. We can't go too long because of the afternoon activity. In terms of announcements, so with that, we turn to something good. Right after the church service, the Pathfinders have prepared for you a special Valentine treat. And I want to thank Janice Wolk, because I happened to walk downstairs when she was working on these, and I think she was on her 5,000th cookie. Because not only for us, but she was also preparing them. I think she prepared some for the Wellspring. She prepared some for the Serving Up Hope, and then she was preparing some for us. And so on the back table, there is going to be a gift of some cookies for you to take as you leave today, and they are a gift from your Pathfinder Club. So just know that that is back there. If you look at your bulletin, please remember they are still working toward their goal of raising money to get to Gillette. The Lord has blessed, but they still have some ways to go. One of the big things that's in your bulletin, hopefully I know all of the board members, you guys got sent out a special request. We try not to do that very often, but because it's a holiday on Monday, an important holiday, and because the Oregon Conference is closed on Monday, we needed to get in some information as quick as possible. The Methodist Church, the United Methodist Church over on 12th Street, as you go towards our school, they had a catastrophic failure of their roof. Now the problem is they didn't catch it very soon, and it has gotten into the walls, and their sanctuary is full of mold, and they cannot meet there any longer. Their pastor actually is heavily affected. She cannot even enter the sanctuary. Her doctors told her to stay away. I met with one of their board leaders and the pastor yesterday, and they are requesting to use our sanctuary starting on March 3 until they can get to their roof repair. They already have the contractor hired. It is a project that will go forward as soon as they are able. Now the problem is they're going to have to tear the walls apart. They're going to have to mitigate the mold and the damage that the water did. And so they have hired a company to re-roof their church, and I told her, we are in the same process, but ours hasn't had a catastrophic failure. And so we are hoping to avoid having to tear into the walls of our church. So we are on a fundraising project to get the roof going, and because of what we learned over there, we may be looking at a contractor a little quicker than we did. We thought we might have a little bit of time, but we are going to be looking at that. But your church board has voted to invite the Methodist Church to come to share on Sunday morning. So we have given them the time from 8 o'clock Sunday morning until 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. There will be some more information given to you on that. I'm a great believer that when we allow our churches to be used, that there will be one point of contact. We will not have 29 people discussing with them and how they do their business. We are working with the Oregon Conference because it is some legal ramifications in terms of insurance and usage and all that. So Marge has been working with us. We got all of their forms filled out. We're hoping to get them in and have that approved through the Oregon Conference. So as of right now, on March 3, they will be joining on Sunday morning and having their worship here until their church is repaired, which they're hoping is sooner than later. And so we told them there is no timeline. And if we don't get our roof taken, we might have to go join them after their church is fixed. So we don't know. But that is one of the big things that I wanted to make sure you knew, that if you come on Sunday morning, which we do encourage you, all of our programs will be outside of those time restraints. They are asking only for the upstairs here, not the Sabbath school classrooms. So they are only going to be upstairs, the sanctuary, the fireside room down the hall, and we're going to be opening up the church for them while they get their church prepared. I had a very pleasant time yesterday talking to their pastor, to their board member. Somehow we got to the passage of talents. And I said, well, I have learned I only have one talent, and you guys probably had guessed what it is. And they did. Because one of them said, yes, I think you have the talent of talking. So I said, you got it. That's the only thing God has given me. But with that, fellowship dinner this afternoon. Also, 2 o'clock will be the funeral memorial service, celebration of life for Arlene Strout. And we do invite all of the church to come to that. Any other announcements that I have not remembered or that were not given to me? I think we got them all. At this time, I'm going to invite Ray and Anita, if you'll come and lead us in our opening song. (202), sorry.
Good morning. Happy Sabbath to all. Please stand.
To every kindred and nation, tell it far and near. Earth's darkest night will fade with the dawning. Jesus will soon appear. Hail, hail. King of glory, once the Lamb for sinners slain. Tell the wondrous story, Jesus comes to reign. Nations again in strife and commotion, warnings by the way. Signs in the heavens, unerring omens, herald the glorious day.